My name is Tina Hassard. I'm a PhD student. I'm an adventurer. I'm an economist. Most often you find me sitting pretty much right here, doing either my job as education manager at Heidelberg University or writing my dissertation. The reason why you're watching me right now is because you A, either received the link for this presentation and take part in my evaluation, or B, more or less accidentally found this video on YouTube. In either way, thank you very much for watching. My research mainly focuses on private returns for education and job market related motivations for studying a certain subject. For filling out the questionnaire and thereby generating the databases for my study, you need some basic information about education economics. I assume you have never heard about or put too much thought into terms like returns to education or non-monetary benefits of higher education. And that's what this video is for. Private returns indicate the relation of the costs to the benefits of an individual's certain investment. In general, returns to education, on the one hand, include today's investment in educational programs as monetary or non-monetary costs during the consumption of an investment, and on the other hand, there's also an immediate need satisfaction and future monetary or non-monetary benefits. The costs for education are especially time and money. They vary and depend on the higher education institution, the degree, subject, duration of studies, and are mainly paid by the individual himself. I mean, we all know the costs that come from education. There are, firstly, direct monetary costs, such as tuition fees, general and long-term enrollment fees, and special fees for registration, etc. Secondly, indirect monetary costs, additional costs such as books and tutorials, but also commuting, accommodation, living. Thirdly, indirect non-monetary costs, like pressure, loneliness, having no spare time, additional stress caused by changed preferences and time structure, financial burden, or the intellectual challenge. Lastly, there are the opportunity costs, the time invested in education. These costs measure the lost net income if you hadn't studied but would have worked instead. Opportunity costs are calculated as the income for a reference group on next lower educational level. They are the main component of individual costs in Germany and depend on the duration of study, salary level, and employment opportunities. But of course, there are not only costs, there also are benefits. Let's have a look on who profits from education. There is, of course, the investing person with a lifelong benefit. There also is the society with today's and future generations, and the state. Benefits. Firstly, there are private monetary benefits for the individual, mostly after graduation, which is the increased relative net income after tax and a higher pension, which lead to positive change in consumers' behavior and also a higher participation in social life. Secondly, there are non-monetary benefits for the individual and the society, positive external effects. Studies have found out that the higher the educational level, the lower the risk of unemployment because of better labor market opportunities, the higher the satisfaction with work and life, the higher the social status, the more efficient are the decisions made, the less is the crime rate, the more conscious is dealing with political topics, and the better the health and higher the life expectancy. Now we know the single components, but what is that return to education? Without boring you with too detailed maths, the answer is quite simple. The relation between costs for an investment in higher education and its benefits, which means the efficiency analysis indicates if and to which extent an investment is profitable. The particular investment in education is implemented when there is a positive return, which is also higher than an alternate investment, which is about 5%. I focus on the individual perspective. The private return to education is the one that interests me most. I pronounce private because there are also two other players, state and society, as mentioned before. Depending on who invests in education and benefits from it, different values are included in the estimation of returns. Returns to education are not generally comparable. There are different times and places of assessment, varying methodological approaches, etc. Unfortunately, there isn't too much research on returns to education in Germany yet, but latest studies showed private returns to education and higher education are positive for all educational paths. So relax, your suffering pays off. Nevertheless, there are also differences between various degrees, Bachelor, Master, Diplom, Magister, Staatsexamen und so weiter, and types of schools, Fachhochschule, Berufsakademie, Universität, etc. But also between men and women, different subject groups and fields of subject. I can't tell you more without maybe influencing you and thus the results of the study. But what I can tell you though is that my previous studies showed that it's not always only about the money. And not everything that is calculable and thus potentially foreseeable eventually happens. Just in case you speak German and are now interested in returns to education and their meaning in the decision-making process to choose a field of subject in the German tertiary education sector, please feel free to have a look into my book. Again, thank you very much for watching the video and taking part in the evaluation. If you're interested in the results of the study, please write me an email to this email address. Stay good.